Hey everyone, welcome on to Branded. I'm Sarah. Today we are going to talk about this weird sort of phase of business that we don't hear a lot of people talk about. And a lot of times it gets confused for something that it's not. So, we're going to dive into what most business owners don't necessarily recognize about growth in their very own business. So, if you've ever found yourself at this like weird intersection of, am I burnt out? Am I bored? I can't really tell. That's what this episode's all about today. So we're going to dive right in. Have you ever found yourself just sort of like sitting at your desk and thinking, okay, I built the thing I wanted to build. I'm doing all the right things. So why does my business suddenly feel kind of flat? It's not hard. It's not miserable. It's just there's like something a little bit lifeless about it. And you find yourself scrolling past like posts and they're talking about burnout and you're thinking, okay, well, maybe that's it. Maybe I'm burnt out. But when you start to dig a little bit deeper and you really start to recognize it's not that you're exhausted from overworking, right? You're actually restless and underwhelmed. So it's a really awkward truth, I think, whenever it comes to these phases of business that we find ourselves in, because sometimes what you're feeling in that moment isn't actually burnout, it's boredom. And the boredom that you're feeling, it hits the hardest when your business is actually stable. Isn't that crazy? I mean, you wouldn't think that would be the case, but it absolutely is. The boredom hits the hardest when your business is stable. And so that's why being aware of these things is really, really super freaking helpful because you see opportunity rather than like, what's going on? So most of us, I mean, we start our business and we're under this like umbrella of chaos and creativity and adrenaline, right? It's all just, all of that is fueling us. But that's when you're building everything from scratch, right? And you've got your websites and your offers and your offers and your systems, right? Every new client that you're signing, it's thrilling because you've got that like new business buzz going, right? But then you start to figure it all out, which is the whole goal, right? When you start your business, yes, it's chaos, but you don't want to live in chaos forever. So you figure it out. All of a sudden it's working, it's profitable. There's like this rhythm that you're in, and suddenly there's this open space that you didn't have before. There's this free time that maybe you didn't have before. You have space to rest, you have space to grow, you have space to think beyond like survival. What's the next thing I absolutely have to do? And that space that you're feeling is very unfamiliar, right? We weren't here before. We were fueled by chaos and adrenaline before. So, what is this newfound calm that's in front of me? It's super unfamiliar. And it's like, if you're being honest with yourself, it's too quiet, right? So, here's a little bit of an example. Let's say you're running a six-figure consulting business and you have like finally hit your groove. Your signature offer is selling consistently, right? You have a really streamlined onboarding process. Maybe you even have a really great VA that helps you with your social media posting. And you finally have this brand that you absolutely are loving. But you keep feeling tired and you don't know if you're burnt out or if maybe you're just outgrowing your own success. And honestly, oh gosh, I would say it's about 18 months or so, a little over a year into running Social Jane Media. I have great clients. I'm producing beautiful brands. I have a pretty clear process in my systems and my back end. It's all starting to come together, right? But I couldn't shake this feeling that I was just sort of doing more of the same. Like I didn't have this infusion of creativity and new and like excitement happening in my business. And it's not that I wanted to quit, right? It's not that I really needed a break. I needed a new direction. I needed something that was going to stretch me a little bit and challenge me a little bit and get those creative juices flowing again. And so that's when I sort of realized, okay, so this isn't me failing at something in my business. This isn't me being super lazy. This is me outgrowing the business that I built for my beginner self. That realization is everything. So, here's some things that I would suggest doing when you might be feeling this same sort of level of burnout that isn't actually burnout. It's actually boredom. It's you outgrowing a past version of your business. So, if you're also feeling this, here's some things to consider. You can start auditing your creativity, not just your calendar. We're trained to look at like how busy we are in order to determine how successful we are. No, I'm sorry. Do not subscribe to that. I do not subscribe to that. Sometimes when your schedule is full, your soul is empty. Audit your creativity, not just your calendar. Are you making time to be creative, to have those sort of like open moments where you can just do things without it being reliant on the success of your business? So ask yourself, when was the last time that I created something just for fun or created something that was just for me, just because I wanted to? When was the last time you did that? Because maybe it's time to rework an offer or add a new creative project to your to-do list. Or maybe you just like sort of reimagine your brand's next chapter. Like it doesn't have to be something set in stone that actually becomes something the very next day. That's the point of creativity, is opening up a channel of communication with yourself, essentially, with like a part of your brain that you've been shutting off because you've been in like go mode versus listening mode. So that's something that I would highly recommend. Audit your creativity, not just your calendar. You can also revisit your why, right? A lot of us, when we get started in our business, if you dive in with a business coach, this is a like foundational thing. Why are you starting your business? Okay, well, the reason you started a year ago, 3 years ago, 10 years ago, that reason is not the same reason today. So revisit. Instead of your why, it's your why now. And it's not going to be that original why, right? The reason you started your business may not be the reason that you need to keep going with it. And as we evolve and as we shift and as our dreams are stretching, we have to give ourselves permission to pivot, even if nothing is wrong. Because sometimes growth looks like expansion, not escape. The other thing that I would suggest doing, if you're feeling this sort of sense of like meh, flatness in your business and like maybe you've outgrown a little bit of it, is to really take a step back and see if your business has been growing with you. Because a lot of times it's not, right? It takes work in order to update your offers, update your websites, make all of these sort of evolutions of your brand. It takes effort. I get it. And that's why someone's business can be here in 5 years and their website and all their assets are still over here, 5 years old, totally outdated. So is your business growing with you? Because if your business feels too tight, like a sweater that shrunk in the dryer, you probably need to check the fit, right? Check the fit of your business. And this doesn't mean like blow it all up and just like scrap it and start fresh. No, it means streamline the things that are no longer feeling aligned to you. If you have an offer that you don't love delivering, performing, whatever it is, stop doing it. Streamline it. Complete the process for the clients that are already in it. Give your all for, the people that are already part of that program. But if you're done with it, be done with it when that cycle of clients is over and start something new, right? Streamline what no longer feels aligned. Delegate or delete things that are draining you. Just because you've been doing something doesn't mean you have to keep doing something. Delegate or delete it. If it's something that has to keep happening, delegate it. If it's something that doesn't need to keep happening, delete it. Make room for the things that actually light you up, that get you really fucking excited to work in your business. Make more room for that, and I guarantee you are not going to have that sense of boredom because you're going to be really excited to just do the things that you have on your calendar for the day. So that boredom that you might be feeling, it's not an issue. It's actually a really fantastic signal that you haven't done anything wrong. You're ready for more. Because just because nothing's wrong, right? Like you're growing, but that growth, so many people think that there's something wrong because it's different, because it's new. And so we automatically think, oh, well, this must be something wrong. We have to revert back to the status quo. You really don't. And as a business owner, you really shouldn't. If you're having that sense of boredom and that sense of, oh, something wrong, it's not that it's wrong. It's you're ready to grow. You're ready to stretch. So before you ever scrap something, see if maybe you want to expand a little bit first, because that might be what that might be what your subconscious is telling you. Hey, I'm ready for more. Not that I'm ready to scrap this and do something completely different. And, we talk so much about building businesses that scale, but what about building a business that feels really good once you are scaled? What about that? Right? We don't really talk about, oh, okay, so you reached the peak of the mountain that you were climbing. What now? How do you enjoy that space? How do you live in that space? Because that space isn't fueled by the chaos and the adrenaline. That is open space. That is like an invitation to sit and create something new. But we're so uncomfortable there because we don't find ourselves there as frequently. So if you're in that space right now and everything looks really, really good on paper, right? But something inside you feels really restless, that's a clue. That's a clue that you don't need to scrap your business. You might need to stretch it a little more. Do something a little brave that maybe you didn't have the time or the mental bandwidth to even think about 6 months ago. So this is a short and sweet episode because I think this is such a fun way of looking at this phase of business. And I think this is really a new perspective that not a lot of people actually talk about. And so if you're at this like phase of business and this episode hit home for you, share it with one of your business besties who might be feeling like a little flat in their business, but from the outside, it's super successful. Because this may be the conversation that they need to be like, yes, okay, that's exactly how I've been feeling. And it isn't a problem. Let me go and make something new. Let me go expand. Let me go stretch. Because I'm a little bored and I might have outgrown a past version of my business. So I hope you guys enjoyed this short and sweet episode today on Branded. Again, I'm Sarah. Leave a review if you loved it. And I'll see you next week for a brand new one. Bye. Thank you so much for listening to Branded, the podcast. Please rate and review. And for more information, visit socialjanemedia.com. I'll see you soon.